Hey everyone, and welcome to Comic Breakdown. If you're new to the page, be sure to give us a like and a sub so you're not missing any of the content we have coming out. And today we're going to be diving into Ten of Swords. This is the X-Men event of the year. It is covering 22 issues over the next couple months. And this week's focus is really on Wolverine and Storm. So for this video, we're going to be covering two issues. We're going to be covering part 3 and part 4 of the 22-part X-Men 10 of Swords line. Now these two comics individually are Wolverine number 6 and X-Force number 13. Now the reason we're covering these two back to back and in the same video is because they're the same storyline. It's one continuation into the next for these two issues. And part 5 we will be covering later on today has to do with Storm and her trying to get Skybreaker, which is a really awesome story. So without further ado, let's dive into this issue. So as it stands right now, our 10 heroes are trying to find their 10 swords. And we pick up in Krakoa, and Wolverine is talking to the island. And he's letting him know, like, you know, I came here to talk to you because you're the voice that really matters here. Like, all these kings and queens of the Quiet Council can blow hot air for hours on end, but at the end of the day, you're the one that says what is what. And the way that Wolverine sees it is Krakoa wanted the external gate open, which means the island also knew what would come with that, and that meant war. And Wolverine pretty much tells the island, you know, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do what needs to be done. I'm gonna find the Muramasa blade, but I'm not gonna ever trust you again. Like, and this is really an important thing, not just for Wolverine, but as mutants as a whole. Like, once people start to understand this is exactly, you know, the island made a conscious decision to bring war upon them, you know, it's going to make things a little uneasy here. And right now, Wolverine has 3 days. He has 3 days to find the sword so he can stand in his place for this multi-dimensional, essentially, land feud. And he gives us a little bit of remembering here, a little bit of his past. You know, he lost his wife and he thought he had lost his son, and he had channeled that loss and rage into steel. And the greatest swordsmith the world had ever known, Muramasa, forged him a blade so that he could kill everyone responsible. And with that blade, he reigned like an angry god. Now, picking up in the fighting pits on Krakoa, we have the Silver Samurai. And he's really, you know, mad and really, you know, envious of Wolverine, because he's the one pretty much selected to go into this fight, and it wasn't him. And Silver Samurai knows, like, I know you want to find Muramasa, and I'm not going to tell you. You don't deserve to be in this fight. And so Wolverine, you know, obviously challenges him. He's like, all right, if you're not going to tell me, I'm going to beat it out of you. And this is where we see Silver Samurai and Wolverine go at it. And Wolverine easily just takes him, and Muramasa starts spilling the beans. Now on A.K.A, taking place in the Tower of Broken Will. Now the Tower of Broken Will was one of the first watchtowers to fall in the Second Great War. And this all happened, you know, thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago. This is one of the towers that was built in defense when the mutants first arrived there. And war is going down to a dungeon. Going down to a dungeon that keeps somebody who killed her husband, who killed Summoner's father. And that's Bracken. Bracken is Summoner's father. It is, or was, the husband to War. But our cage individual, Solemn, has been called up. Now, he's pretty much here, spending the rest of his life for what he did to her husband. And this was supposed to be torment for him, but the people love him. Everybody loves him. He's essentially like a charmer of the highest degree. And he knew they'd be back for him one day. He knew that they would come calling for one of the best champions of A.K.A. And for him, this is something he wants to do. You know, he's always about games. He wants to make fun of this, a gamemanship, if you will. And so he's on board with going ahead and getting into this tournament. And this is where they tell him that he also needs to find a Muramasa blade. And nobody has any clue where to begin for him. Like, they just tell him, like, you have 3 days. We have no idea where you get this blade, who you could talk to about this blade. We just know that you have to find it and be in the arena so we can have this tournament going on. And so he takes off and goes in search of the blade. And this is exactly what Wolverine's been doing. This whole time, he's going all over Tokyo, all over Japan in general, trying to find people that may know where Muramasa went. And all of this takes Wolverine to a temple. And this temple seems to have ninja or the hand ninjas descending on him as he approaches. And this is where we kind of get a split scene here. So we get an image of what's currently happening, and so all of this is taking place. Him searching for this temple, all of that's taking place in the past. And right now he's picked up in hell. And in hell we see a Wolverine hand with claws coming up out of molten lava. And we see Wolverine rising out of this complete metal skeleton looking like, a T-100 from Terminator. And what we're really finding out here is that this temple is a breach. It's a breach between Earth and hell. And Muramasa was pretty much sacrificed and sent down to hell. And that will be the end of Wolverine issue number 6. Now, picking up with our next issue, we dive into X-Force number 13. This is part 4, and this one picks us up and gives us a little bit of a backstory on why and exactly how we got into hell and how we ended up in that pit. How he ended up looking like a Terminator. So the Yomi Temple, kind of celebrated the underworld, and it became more than a place for prayer. It became a marriage of two worlds, a gateway to hell, essentially. And as Wolverine enters this place, he's ambushed by just dozens and dozens of agents of the hand. And as Wolverine's starting to fight these things, he's tearing off their mask and seeing that they're something more than human. They look almost zombie-like. So Wolverine's really, just lost here. No idea what Muramasa's got himself into. The hand is looking like evil demon ghouls now. He's just completely lost. And he's also completely outnumbered, and they start just thrusting swords into Wolverine and throw him through the portal of hell. And he falls down into a pit of lava. For any ordinary individual, this would definitely be the end. But this is Wolverine we're talking about. And as Wolverine starts to climb out, looking like a Terminator, he sees Muramasa forging the Muramasa blade. But he's not forging this for Wolverine. He's forging it for a ceremony. And the agents of the hand throw Wolverine into pretty much a prison cell. And this is where Solemn meets him. The two great warriors that are destined to go against each other meet for the first time. And as Wolverine slowly starts to regenerate, Solemn gives us a little bit of backstory on how he got here. And so, unknowing where he should go, on how we should find Muramasa or the Muramasa blade, or even what the word means, he goes to an oracle. And the oracle pretty much tells him that you need to go to hell. That the dagger you carry is actually a key to open up a gateway to hell from here. And that once you get to hell, you need to follow a man, a mutant who will serve as your guide, one who is made of metal. So he opened up the gateway to hell, and he found the man made of metal, the mutant of metal. And as Wolverine fully starts to, regenerate and become fully functioning again, he tries breaking out of the bars, but this is all made of, or forged with hellfire. So this is pretty much unbreakable. And Wolverine even goes to slash at Solemn, and Solemn is pretty much unscathed. And pretty much what he tells us here is he has a microfiber type version of chainmail that's made of adamantium. And so obviously, Wolverine's not going to win here. Well, at least currently in this position that he's got himself stuck in. And so Solemn pretty much proposes that let's both of us go together. You don't really have a choice here, and I need to find the sword. And I was told to follow you, so you're the one that probably knows where to go. I can unlock you, let you out of this place. You just have to take me to the sword. And from there, we can figure it out. So picking up at the Hellforge, they arrive there trying to find any kind of sign of where they might have gone. And while they're doing this, they're telling us and letting the readers learn that the barriers between Earth and Hell, between everything, are deteriorating in a sense. And that's why we have things like the Beast and the Hand coming together and essentially becoming one. And that's why we're seeing the Hand agents look like demons and things of that nature. And this is where Solemn and Wolverine see a union going on. pretty much celebrating the union of the red left hand and the red right hand coming together. And to celebrate this union, the presentation of the swords. And this is where we learn he didn't just craft one Muramasa sword, he crafted two swords. So these two technically don't even have to fight each other. Like, they can both kill all these demons and just grab a sword. Now, before they intervene or anything of that nature, we see that the human and demon ceremony come to an end. And it comes to an end with Muramasa having both the swords driven into his chest and the soul going into those two swords. And this is when our two individuals make their attack. And Solemn immediately jumps in and throws a dagger into somebody's throat. And almost instantaneously already has our Muramasa sword in his hand. And Wolverine and Solemn really just take these guys out. And Solemn ends up with both swords in his hands. He's like, you know, I could just take both these swords and leave you to this demonic wedding party, but I have a better offer. And he pretty much is like, you know, how much do you want to buy this blade for, Wolverine? And this is when we pick up in Krakoa later on, and Wolverine has his sword, but it doesn't tell us at what price it came, and only time's gonna tell if it was worth the cost. And he takes his place preparing for the Tournament of the Ages, and that will be where this issue ends. So let me know what you guys think. You know, that, like I said, this was two issues put together into one. You know, they flow right into one another. Definitely could have been done as just one issue. This is definitely an attempt for a money grab on their part. But the story itself was really great. I really did enjoy it. You know, Wolverine going to hell, getting the Muramasa sword, coming back. It was enough story there to give a little bit of backstory on getting him to where he needs to be. You know, because at the end of the day, this story isn't about how they got the swords. It's about how they're going to use the swords. It's about the tournament. It's about the Mortal Kombat style fight that's about to happen, that's about to transpire. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you haven't yet, be sure to like and subscribe to the page, and until the next video.